Hey everybody, it's Linda Parker here with the Fearless Woman Interview Series. This is season 2. I'm so excited. My special guest today is Leslie Kuster. Hello, Leslie.
Hi, Linda. I'm so excited to be here with you too.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you here with us. I can't wait for you to share with the audience everything that you've got going on because it's so fascinating to me. And I'm just going to give them your bio and then we'll jump right in and have you share some amazing information with everybody. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Perfect. Okay, so Leslie is an online entrepreneur with a mission to excite, inspire, and motivate women all over the world. She's the founder and CEO of I can't even talk. Back from Bali, a women's e-commerce clothing company that generates over 7 figures in annual revenue through sales primarily on Amazon. Exciting. Okay, so before ricocheting her business into success, Leslie earned her master's degree in social work and created a program called Girl Power. Nice. A mind, body, spirit after school empowerment program for girls ages 7 to 13. When she was asked why she no longer runs this program, she answers that she is now living herself for her own girl power. Awesome. I love that. So share a little bit more with us about, exactly what it is that you're doing right now and because I know you started another business. So give us a little bit about your background, your journey, and how you got where you are today.
Yeah, well, wonderful. Thank you. So I am in a fantastic place right now in my life. And honestly, I have to pinch myself because the life I'm living right now is not the life I was living only 6 years ago. And so I'm really happy to speak about this, to really share with women. Also, it's important to hear that at any age, you could make huge changes in your life.
I love that.
And so I just want to take you back to a few years ago, and that was, I always had my business back from Bali where I manufacture clothing in Bali and sell it on Amazon.com. But just 6, 7 years ago, the business was, it was sort of doing okay, but not really doing well, not doing where I wanted to be, which is where I am now, which is running a 7-figure business, which is living in a beautiful place in Zurich, Switzerland, which is traveling to Bali, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and really, yeah, living my yearning, living really what I want to be doing, living a life of freedom. But 6 years ago, as I said, I wasn't there. And you just mentioned, Linda, I had this other business called Girl Power, which sounded great. It was working with young girls doing a mind, body, spirit program. And I had my two businesses. I had Back from Bali and I had Girl Power. And what I found, and this is something I really want to really communicate this, that what I found is that because I was not focused and because I was doing two things at the same time, I was doing my business, my Back from Bali importing business, and my Girl Power business, neither of them was that successful. Now, the Girl Power business was great. I was helping and inspiring. And so it was a really difficult decision as to which one I was going to focus on, because I realized that 6 years ago that the only way I was going to be successful was if I gave one of them up. And that's what I did. So in that moment, I decided to give Girl Power up. And it was a big decision as to which one, because my head was going, Leslie, you shouldn't give up Girl Power. It's spiritual and it's helpful and it's wonderful. And the business is money and it's, selfish and all these things. So this was going on in my head. But I decided, I had a gut. I really did. I had a gut feeling that said, focus on the business. And that's what I did. So I put all my energy, all my focus, all my perseverance into that business. There's actually 3 important things I did, which I'm happy to share.
Yes, please do. Tell me.
It was the 3 things that really changed everything. Was number 1, I hated where I was in my life. And I really, 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 and I'm saying really for 3 times on purpose, I wanted something different. And I'm not talking about a want. And this is important for women to hear, that when you want to make changes in your life, or if you have yearnings towards it, it has to be coming up strong inside of you. You can't be like, oh yeah, life's comfortable and I'm okay, and you know, everything's really okay, and you know, there has to be something inside that's really pushing you towards shifting and changing, because change is scary, right?
Yes,
It,
yes.
it, it takes a lot of courage. You don't know what's going to happen. And so you need to have that wanting. You have to be uncomfortable with where you are right this moment in order to have the courage to change into something that you don't even know is going to work. So that was my first thing. I wanted it so badly. I wanted to change so badly. I wanted to make more money so badly. All right. So that was number one. And the second thing I did is I got a kick-ass coach. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Really, really important. And not just any coach, but I got a coach that knew Amazon and knew my industry and knew my business, and was really able to help me go step by step by step, because in Amazon there's a lot of detailed information you need to know. So you really need somebody guiding you and teaching you and showing you those steps. And the last thing is, I just became a learner. And
Mhm.
sometimes I even think, what is the secret to my success? And people ask me that. And sometimes I really feel I just follow direction really well, and I do it. I take action. So I had this great coach, I had this great teacher, and I actually did the steps she taught me to do, and I did it. So I was focused, I was coachable, and I persevered. So those were the three things, and the result of that is the business now, which I will be going probably close to 1.7 million this year, and
God, that's
in this
amazing.
last year. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's only on Amazon. So Amazon is a fantastic opportunity for a lot of women. And you
That's
had
amazing.
asked in a way what I was transitioning to, which is simply that because I've gotten so much out of Amazon myself, I have started to do videos, and actually free videos for women on my Facebook page, just encouraging them and teaching more about how to be successful as an online entrepreneur.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love the fact that now you're at a place where you've got the knowledge so you could give back. That's amazing. So I just want to recap a little bit for the audience. So what I'm hearing you say is, you know, you have a passion, you have a why, you have a strong reason for doing what you're doing, your calling, and then you connect with that, you stay true to yourself, and then you be accountable by having a coach, right? I love it. I love that. So let me just ask you, because I'm sure it still probably comes up right now today, in the midst of all these things on a daily basis, you know, in our daily lives, we come up with stress or limiting beliefs, fear, things like that. What do you do yourself? Could you share with the audience to, you know, manage that, because it doesn't go away. So how do you manage it in your life? Do you have a daily routine? What are some things you could share that you do personally?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I really want to talk about this because I think this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. I would really honestly say probably the deepest secret to my success is the way I've been living my life, honestly, the last many years, which is I have a strong spiritual practice, and I go every summer and I take off about 5 weeks a year during the summer, and I just basically dial down. Now, because I have an online business, this little computer right here comes with me, and I'm able to, you know, keep things ticking along. But I really give myself time, Linda, to disconnect, to really disconnect, to slow down, to sleep, to eat really healthy, to meditate, to breathe, all these things, and just to stop, because I believe more than anything that to be successful, to be really successful, and I mean not just successful in terms of making money, because there are many people out there really successful making a lot of money, and I'm talking about a different kind of success. I'm talking about a success where you're living a life of freedom. You're living your yearning. You're living what's welling out of you. And to have that kind of success, you need to tap into your inner self.
Right.
You have to make time to connect into what's true to you, what's deepest to you, what your yearnings are, not what your parents thought they were or anyone else thought they were, maybe even what you thought they were, because we get really confused between what we think we want and not realizing it's actually coming from like the television, or it's coming from your spouse, or it's coming from your parents, it's coming from somewhere else. Unless you take time for yourself, you can't hear it.
Mm.
So to really answer your question, I make sure once a year I really disconnect. And then for the rest of the year, yes, I have a practice. So because I work from home, because I work for myself, because I'm an entrepreneur, I could set my own hours. So I don't really start working usually until about 12 o'clock.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. And that's on a 7-figure business. So this is all possible. So I usually wake up, I meditate usually every morning for not so long. It could go anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, but I always try to just connect in, and especially connect into feeling grateful and connect to a sense of love in my heart. I always exercise, so I actually have a great routine these days. I'm exercising from home on these fantastic videos, and so I work out. And I basically take care of myself. I eat very, very well. So this is sort of how I start my day always. And then I go into the different facets of my work.
Yeah. And I'm sure that on a day, for whatever reason, something comes up and you don't do your morning routine, it's an off day, right?
Yeah, you do the best you can in life. Sometimes I really need chocolate cake, and really, it's a chocolate cake day.
Yeah,
And you do the best you can. And also, I don't think you have to be so like firm about it. You don't have to be military about any of these things. You don't have to be like, okay, from whatever 8 to 8:30, I'm sitting in this bed and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to meditate. You could connect with source, with God, with something inside of you when you're just stepping outside and breathing and looking at something beautiful and just stopping. So there's all kinds of ways in our life we can also bring that in. And sometimes you have that perfect day and you meditate and you do that, and sometimes you don't, and that's okay too. It's really all okay. You have to
exactly.
love yourself.
Yes. Yeah, that's so important. I think that, like you were mentioning a few minutes ago about sometimes we think it's, it's our surroundings, our culture, and because this is where we're at, this is what we're supposed to do. And I do believe that it's so important to have an inner connection with yourself, because my guess is that anybody listening to this interview series is here for a reason, because they've got something going on inside of them and they're trying to figure out what that is. So if they can spend some time in self-care, going inside, maybe journaling or something like that, and then they can figure out what's actually going on, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And actually, I was listening to Ali Brown, who both you and I both know, fantastic guru coach. And I was actually listening to her yesterday, and she was also talking about how important it is to notice kind of the magic that's happening in one's life. Okay, because there is a lot of magic there. We want to create a business, or we want to create the action that we do that's coming from our deepest yearning, coming from our genius, coming from ourselves. And when you start to walk on that path, then you start to notice tiny little things that start to support you, such as you read an article that's like, oh yeah, I was just thinking that, all right? Or you get an email from a friend or someone, it's just there's little synchronicities. And what Ali was talking about was really starting to notice those synchronicities in your life, because life is magical.
Mm.
Life is magical. We think it isn't, but it's actually magical. And the more positive we're thinking in our head, the more we're connecting with our heart and our yearning, the more those things come from us. And I also want to speak actually on yearning versus wanting, because I think we get very confused often on the question, what do you want? You know, you
Right.
got to know what you want. You have to write them down, you know, write the 10 things you want, write your 5 plans that you're going to go after. What is it that you want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I find wanting confuses people, because, I mean, you mean I only get 5 things? You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Oh no, which one is it, you know? But if you connect with the word yearning instead of wanting, it comes from such a deeper place.
Yeah. I love that.
Yearning is yearning basically when you connect with it, and when you start to take the actions that align with your yearning, actually brings in the things you want.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. So, I'm just wondering if, uh, did you always know what your yearning was, or did it take you some time to figure that out? I'm just curious for the audience so that they could, because I
Yeah.
think for me, I think it was there, but I didn't tap into it till later in life. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. My yearning happened when I was really in my late 20s, I would say, in the early 30s, which is which is how I started my business. So this is a long time ago, and I was working in New York City, working basically in corporate jobs in public relations. I went traveling to Bali, Indonesia, and had a fantastic time and traveled for many, many months. And I returned to New York, and I needed to find a job. And I didn't want to get a job. I, I yearned for that feeling of freedom that I had while I was traveling. And this feeling of freedom has been my yearning that I've had really my entire working adult life. And that is really how I started my business. So my business was really started out of a reaction from not wanting to get a job, not wanting to get in an elevator into a corporate office in New York City, which is where I was living at that time. So that's where that yearning came. And it was out of that yearning that I got the idea to then start my Bali business, which is how I started it. Then, now let's go back 6 years ago, okay? I then had a yearning, honestly, to make more money, all right? I was yearning for recognition. I was yearning for feeling empowered. I was yearning for feeling I was doing something with the gifts that were inside of me that I felt I was doing okay, but I knew I could do so much better. I was yearning for something more to be coming out. So that yearning led me into making that decision and that focus, and focusing on my business, getting a coach, doing Amazon, and bringing it to a 7-figure business. Now let's go back about a year ago, because again, a yearning was starting to happen inside of me. I have a very successful business. I have the freedom I want. I have the life I want. But I started to feel like, okay, it's great. I'm really proud of myself, but I would love to feel more of value now. And I started to like yearn for more visibility. I wanted to, I was behind my computer so much, I was either in Bali or I was behind my computer so much working on my business. And I like yearned for like connection and connecting with, especially women. I just love women and I love helping women and I love inspiring women to be entrepreneurs. And I just started to yearn. I really want to start helping others and teaching others and supporting others. And I had this yearning. And then I got this idea, why don't I start a workshop called How to Start an Amazon Business and Make Money Anywhere, and start to teach this workshop. So this is the state I'm in now. Yes, I still have my business, but my yearning is bringing me into another place of starting to basically help and teach and inspire. So women can go out there and to create the freedom they want in the life that they want, because it's been so empowering for me, and I want to share it and teach it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So based off of what you just said, this next question is actually perfect. So what would be your one piece of advice that you could give the audience for them to tap into that yearning, as you're saying, and go after whatever is in their heart? What would be the one piece of advice you give them?
Yes. First of all, you have to kind of know what your yearning is. And if you're running around your life like so busy that you don't even have time to do anything, you're not going to listen to your yearning because you're not going to know what it is. So you got to stop. So I guess my one piece of advice is two pieces of advice. Number one, you must stop. All right. You must journal. And as you were saying before, you must stop and give yourself some peace so you could even feel what you're yearning. So you want to ask yourself, what is it I'm yearning for? Maybe it's more time. Maybe it's more sleep. Maybe it's more rest. Now, who knows what your yearning is? And then you got to take action. All right. This is the secret. You have to take action. And what happens is that we all have the downward spiral. We all have the negative thinking. All right. I mean, a year ago, I was thinking, for example, why should I even help or teach or give workshops or do videos? I mean, there's like 100,000 or a million other women already talking about this stuff, like, why should I do it? That was my downward spiral, even to myself. So we all have the downward spiral, but to get over that downward spiral, you have to take action. There is no other remedy for it. You could look at it as long as you want. You can talk to your therapist for years about it, and years. But nothing shifts it more than taking action. And because action will lead you to success, because the universe will come and support that action when it's coming from your yearning. So that would be the answer.
That is beautiful. I love it. Okay, did you guys listen to that? Oh my God.